The woman took her newborn baby to the sea for 3 days and 3 nights, and their only shelter was this container that was about to sink. She threw the baby's diaper into the sea. As a result, she quickly attracted the attention of a few fish. But catching fish, it was not as simple as she thought. When she was desperate, she suddenly saw a passenger plane in the sky. She was so excited that she ran back to the container and found a piece of glass. But when she came back, she accidentally scratched her thigh. She couldn't help but scream. But the people on the plane, far away, couldn't see her at all. In order to prevent the infection of the wound, she used alcohol to disinfect it. The pain was unbearable. Then she sewed up the wound. The pain of concentration almost made her faint. In order to catch fish and replenish nutrition, she made a simple fish net with the same earplug. After putting the fish net into the sea, she used a diaper as bait. Then she quietly waited. Minutes passed. Then a fish entered the trap. Finally, she had a full meal. She had stored a lot of food. In order to get out of danger, and as soon as possible, she wrote down hundreds of notes for help. One by one, she put them into the plastic boxes and threw them into the sea. She hoped someone would find them soon. But there was another problem. She had to drain the water with a pipe from time to time. Otherwise, once the water was full, they would sink to the bottom of the sea. She was afraid that her baby would catch a cold. But her phone damaged. The screen was broken. She couldn't unlock it. She could only wait for her husband's call. That night, suddenly, a message. Her husband. His words shook her to the core. "I was shot in Dangsi. I might not be able to save you." Tears welled up in her eyes. Her heart sank. "Live on," he cried. She clenched her fist, holding back her sorrow. "No complaints, no despair. I've given birth to our baby." Her voice trembled. "Say something warm to our child." Then the phone battery died. The two of them lost contact completely. Days passed. The water level kept rising. Now, thinking ahead, she crafted a small wooden board and one plastic box. If the container sank, they would still have something to float on. Then, hope, a seagull. It appeared out of nowhere. Her heart pounded. Land must be near. But her hope was short-lived. That night, a disaster struck. The seal strip, the only thing blocking the hole, fell off. Water rushed in, faster than she could react. A seal, drawn by the food inside, swam into the container. It got tangled in a rope. Struggling desperately, it had no choice but to dive down and cut itself free. By the time it escaped, the baby was gone, drifting alone. The mother's heart nearly stopped. She screamed into the night. A sudden noise, the cry of her baby. She turned. The seagull. It had splashed water on the child, waking it up. Without thinking, she dove into the sea. Fighting the waves, she swam as fast as she could. Finally, she reached the baby. She clutched Nuo to her chest, her body trembling with relief. Their purpose fulfilled, turned and disappeared into the night. Holding her baby's tiny hand, seagulls, many of them. With her last bit of strength, she reached into her box. A fish. She threw it towards them. The birds circled above. A miracle. A fishing boat. It noticed the unusual commotion. The fishermen hurried toward them. "Hope! Rescue!" They lifted the baby first, safe at last. Then they found the woman, barely breathing. She was fading. Too weak, too exhausted. But they didn't give up on her. With swift action, they revived her. She gasped. She was alive. No one could believe it. A woman and a baby, floating at sea for an entire month. She had survived with nothing but sheer willpower.